Coming up in the news, no set date yet for face-to-face instruction, according to the Minister of Education. Also, Grand Bahamas' only newspaper closing its doors. And police officials warn of vicious dogs on the attack. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Shashina Wolf-Farkas, and as always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping the news tonight, the Minister of Education making her contribution in the House of Assembly this morning. A presentation coming at a time when public schools have not yet fully returned to face-to-face classes due to the global pandemic. The Education Minister noting that it is her mission to empower young people, which she says is necessary for national development. Our Italia Hall has the top story.
Major reform within the education system must come. Those are the words by Education Minister, the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin. Hannah Martin, during her contribution in the House of Assembly, says, in order to overcome challenges and setbacks in the country, there must be an education policy which empowers, stimulates, and refines the genius in children, including those with different abilities. Minister Hannah Martin speaking on the importance of preparing and training young people for national development.
A good quality educational system which is relevant and progressive is the key to our national development and is critically important to the realization of each child's potential. This is not an overstatement. And as Minister of Education, I want to see our public schools as amongst the premier learning institutions in the nation, not the second best. Effectively closing the gap in education between those privileged enough to attend a private school and our public school students.
A scientific survey is being carried out by the Department of Statistics, which seeks to gain full insight into the reasons and issues as to why some students have not signed on to the virtual learning platform. The minister says going forward, a more aggressive thrust and a specific curriculum development will be introduced.
Greater resources, therefore, must be found. And we know the stories of children waiting for speech therapists and the like. Greater resources must be found to identify children with special needs and to provide timely interventions and remedial instruction so that no child is left behind. We must provide equity in education for all children. And we must work, Madam Speaker, assiduously to enhance teacher training and encourage and facilitate professional development on an ongoing basis throughout the career of a teacher.
Hannah Martin noting that policies are being reviewed as it relates to procedures for the issuance of academic and technical scholarships for those who are seeking to pursue tertiary education locally and internationally. She says school repairs will be accelerated across the country, adding that creativity is needed in future construction projects for students.
So as to create cooler, energy-efficient classrooms in the height of summer to ensure greater student comfort for the hours in the school day. It is my aim, and I pray it is possible, for us to achieve a reduction in the size of classes.
And the big question many have been asking, when will students return to face-to-face instruction?
We are preparing for the resumption of face-to-face instruction in our public schools, but cannot do so until our health officials say that it is safe to do so and mandate the requisite health protocols to be undertaken to assure a safe environment for all. We must also work closely with parents and the unions to seek to allay any concerns that they may have.
The minister says it takes a village to raise a child and is calling on parents to do their part.
All parents, mothers, fathers, and guardians, please join your school's PTA and attend meetings to learn firsthand what is happening in the school and more greatly participate in the educational process of your children. The teachers are the partners of the parents in the execution of learning and the shaping of the lives of our children. This is how your child will excel.
The education minister is asking all parents to join with her and the government to do all that's possible to support the nation's youth. She says she is aware that many families are facing tremendous obstacles, but the support system of the government will be positioned where needed. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Also from the House of Assembly, the Member of Parliament for Central and South Abaco sharing a very vivid picture on the state of Abaco post-Hurricane Dorian. In his first contribution to Parliament, he highlights why more must be done to restore the once booming island as he presented a number of challenges facing the people of Abaco. Member of Parliament for Central and South Abaco, John Pinder, says the island of Abaco has been neglected and the previous lack of representation is evident.
Basics like garbage collection, fire trucks, clinics, postal service, road safety elements, and most importantly, proper educational facilities are needed now.
He says the cries of the people were many, but have not been addressed.
The temporary housing domes were never completed properly. My Abaconians, at their time of need, were put in hard tents that are not safe nor sanitary. Bahamians living with raw sewage around them, sharing electricity from neighbors by drop cords, and living in cars is common. I am saddened. I am hurt how we were treated. Many millions spent with little to no help for the people. Our government workers are living in trailers parked outside the government complex, offices, and international airport. If you are lucky to have a house that is livable, there is often no water. I will not sleep well until my fellow Bahamians have a safe place to sleep.
Pinder says it is a new day and immediate help is on the way.
An affordable housing program will start soon. There are other immediate needs I am currently addressing, such as roads patched together or dirt roads that wash away with every rain, children 2 years on virtual or no schooling, and our only airport to bring in much needed visitors, often with no running toilets, water, or backup power. Our children need and want to be in school.
The Member of Parliament also highlighted challenges with the international airport.
The only international airport in Abaco needs many aesthetic and maintenance issues attended to. First impressions are lasting impressions. Our tourism demand is high, and we must operate this facility properly to confirm to our visitors, Abaco is coming back strong.
And the shipping port, he calls it a disgrace.
Officials work from their cars and staff have not been paid. This is a serious obstacle to our recovery. We could be so much further if an attention was paid to Abaco's needs. However, this is a new day, and this vital international port will be brought back to proper working standards in short order.
But he says help and hope is here, and he, along with the government, will work hard to restore the island of Abaco along with the Keys. Well, Grand Bahama's only newspaper has closed its doors. The News Daily, that has been around since the early 60s, has been struggling as of late and discontinued publication at the end of October. Tonight, Megan Shepard talks with the general manager, who says economic challenges along with changing trends in media have made it difficult to survive.
It has been a staple and essential part of the Grand Bahama community for 61 years. And now, due to several compounding factors, the Freeport News has closed its doors. The Grand Bahama-based newspaper has been a source of information for decades, and General Manager Fred Stirrup shared how this publication came about back in 1960.
Jack Hayward told me that back in the late 50s, a group of investors, as they start coming into Freeport, would get together in the evenings, and they would talk about local business, international business, social items of that nature. So somebody came up with the idea, let's start a newsletter. And so that was the origin of the Freeport News. They published a newsletter which consisted of all the information, the social items that was discussed among those, and of course some of the business aspects and international news of the day.
The paper then grew to a well-respected and vital publication on Grand Bahama, capturing the history of the island. Stirrup says that while the paper was a blessing to many, the changing climate of media proved to be a challenge.
Many families were supported because one or two persons from that particular family worked at the Freeport News. And like I said, it became an institution. And one of the sad things about the print media, and this has been happening for the last 30 years or so, with the advent of internet and the technology, the advanced technology, and now social media, news is instantaneous. So when you have a 24-hour shift, you can see the disadvantage.
Referring to the island as having a depressed economy, Stirrup says that it has not been going well for the paper for some years now.
In our case, with Hurricane Dorian, which totally obliterated our printing press, and the entire organization was under 4.5 feet of water for 2 full days, so that knocked that out. Then we had to print in New Providence at the Nassau Guardian. And of course, when during the COVID-19 emergency orders, the flights were stopped on 2 occasions, that further derailed our process. And we downsized several times. But I mean, it's a tremendous compliment to our owners, Manny Alexu and Anthony Ferguson, that despite the downtrend and the lack of revenue flowing in from the normal advertising elements, they kept the organization going until last Thursday.
The veteran media personality and a journalist says that he believes there is still a market for a print element on the island. However, there must be a shift in production and content.
It won't depend totally on news that is instantaneous, because by the time you print out the paper the next morning, you know, that stuff has been online in so many other forums, and people are no longer willing to read that. And then unless you're really able to update this particular situation, a particular incident to a great degree, which is highly improbable, you know, it's news that is not going to help the market. So I would think that going forward, a print element would have to be smaller and would have to be tighter in terms of the process, the product, and you'd have to be operating out of the box. Features, op-eds, opinions, editorials, things of that nature that nobody else would have.
Now, since 2019, the Freeport News located to the R&D Plaza and had to downsize its staff complement from 26 to 5 employees. The organization officially closed on Thursday, October 28th. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Megan. Now to news from police. Police officials say it is becoming more of a concern in recent time. The vicious attack of wandering dogs throughout communities on Grand Bahama. Press Liaison Officer ASP Stephen Roll says that they're making an urgent appeal to dog owners to ensure that their pets are properly secured.
The police have investigated a number of recent matters involving ferocious dogs being at large that have attacked persons in the community. I just want to advise the public, once those ferocious dogs, example pit bull dogs, who are running wild or without any leash or insecure location, to do their best to try to secure those dogs, because it is an offense to allow those ferocious dogs to be at large. And furthermore, these dogs are attacking not just animals, but now they're attacking persons, causing serious injuries to them.
A number of serious injuries have been linked to these dog attacks, and adds that they are working with animal control to address the situation in a more aggressive way.
Please secure those dogs, either in a fenced yard, or if you cannot secure those dogs, contact the relevant persons to come and collect those dogs, so they can put those dogs in a safe environment. When it comes to putting the dogs to sleep, the police authorities do certain things when it comes to those matters, because you're looking at the Animal Control Act now, and Animal Control, they are there to assist, and we are working together to make these matters being dealt with in an expeditious manner.
Well, meantime, police officials also concerned about the high rate of speed in the area of the Warren J. Lavardi Highway late at night.
I want to urge members of the public who normally use that road or anywhere in the Grand Bahama per se, who find themselves speeding and if caught, it carries a fine of $100. I also want to urge those places in that area that the police are aware that they will be on that street with more patrols, and if you're found in breach, you will be dealt with.
An ASP role says that while many persons traverse the area and they could be to blame, they are also of the view that those working in the industrial area at this time may also be culpable.
For the most part, during an hour at night, it is safe to assume that it is most from the industrial community, and most of the time some of the residents are moving back and forth from either Freeport or the western end of Grand Bahama back and forward. So it's a mixture of persons who's traveling in excess of the speed limit. A lot of the motoring public themselves who's being forced off the street due to the excessive speed of other motorists coming head on to them or high beams. So just want to urge them to just drive more due to attention.
Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.